of this book. I mean, I think it's interesting to look, customer centricity is like a platitude. It's like motherhood and apple pie. There is no company out there who will say to you today, no, I'm not customer centric. They will all say, I'm customer centric. They will all claim that they are aligned around the customers. But actually doing it is very hard. Even if you want to start with having insight. Most companies don't really want, when they look at customers, what are the kinds of questions they ask? They ask questions like, do you like my product? What do you like about my product? What don't you like? How can I make it better for you? All those questions are looking at the customer through the lens of your product. It's not really holistic understanding. I mean, one of the best-selling products in the US in the grocery industry is chopped, washed bag salad. No lettuce company would ever have come up with bag salad if the only questions they were asking were, do you like my lettuce? What do you like about my lettuce? How can I make it better for you? You have to really peer beyond and understand what's happening in the life of your customer. What's changing? How is it changing? One of the companies I studied is one of the largest retailers in the US for consumer electronics. For them, the realization was they had competition with Walmart and online, and they're selling a completely identical product, cheaper prices. So they let's look and see our marketplace and understand. And to their surprise, 55% of their customers were women. And at the same time, they also found that women universally hated shopping in their store. This was the store designed by guys for guys. So one thing is to have the realization, then to try to internalize and say, okay, well, how do women shop? What do they shop for? What don't they shop for? The realization that women tend to walk around the store and buy multiple things at the same time. So they don't need a specialist who knows only one product. They need a generalist who can walk around and help them assemble the different things that will work together. The realization that, oh my God, women are saying that I really need help with installation. That for me, if you help me install, I will buy much more. To then have an installation service department set up called Geek Squad. These all came out of the realization that who are my customers? What's happening in their life? What do they want? What don't they want? And then to take all that idea and turn it into action. So my frustration is, in many companies, customer centricity is a slogan. It's a corporate slogan and nothing more. As you look at companies that embark on a journey to being aligned around their customers, as they move further and further on this journey, they re-identify and define themselves not by the products they sell, but by the problems they solve. And once they define their business, their identity around the problems they solve, it frees them up. It frees them up to not just sell what they produce. They become like general contractors who can assemble pieces of the puzzle for you and help customers get what they want. And this is what I would call where the core starts to shrink of what they do themselves. And if you look at, for instance, I will show you, if you look at the iPhone, I don't have the iTablet yet. Look at the iPhone. What is interesting about the iPhone is that over 90% of the iPhone is not made by Apple. It's made by somebody else. And this is a company that 20 years ago used to make its own printer cables. At the same time, what really makes this device valuable is the applications. There are 100,000 applications in the application store. Apple makes none of them. 30% of the revenues coming from the application store are paid to Apple. So you would say, well, what is core? I think Apple understands very clearly. They have wrapped their core around their brand, around understanding customer experience, around innovation in assembling the pieces that they believe add up and go into what the customers want. And this leads to then identifying and working with a whole network of collaborators and partners, suppliers, developers. You start to build what we are calling an ecosystem, where you are not the only one producing what you are going to sell to your customer. It frees you up. It frees you up to focus on the customer interface, understanding what customers want, value, translating those ideas into what they may need, and then building it. Because no customer told Steve Jobs, here is the design for an iPhone. The team had to figure out what they thought customers might want. But the fact that they didn't have to build it all themselves gave them time to focus on that aspect and not just on the engineering aspect. And it also wasn't so engineering driven. It was customer driven. When you're designing it, you're all engineers saying, here's what I think customers want. So it's a very different thought process. And defining the core absolutely shifts. But if you don't make that shift, you're going to be stuck like, the old Ford Motor Company. I produce everything myself. Not the new one, but the old model was, I produce everything myself. That's a very restrictive way of thinking about the opportunity space. It also makes you realize that alliances, ecosystem partnerships, these become extremely critical. Inter-organizational connections become absolutely central to the survival and success of companies today.